the expectation from society is that, once you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you should be married. Right now, I'm in my 40s.
It's a societal pressure that tells people that at this age, just take anything you find.
Yeah, there is. I've had people walk up to me and like, if you don't marry me, who will you marry? People are walking up to you and they're going, your life is complete, but it will be more complete if there's somebody by your side. If you just get man, this thing will just stop. You will not understand you're not married. You are a fine girl, you are doing things, you're working for God, you're in his vineyard. Why are you not married? Are they not seeing? Are they blind? When are we coming to relate to your right? Somebody said that I was an evening newspaper. Most of the time, in staying in the depression of the expectation of society and what they have benchmarked as a particular time for you, when you buy into that, you get into a mind space and a mind frame that makes you look miserable, feel miserable. You get stuck in the same circle, you're bitter, and eventually what happens is that nobody really wants to read the evening newspaper.
What age do you think it's the age for marriage? 25? 30? 35? Do you consider 35 being late? 36? 40? 45? Or do you give up when you are 50? So today, we'll be navigating what the world says about being single in your 30 plus or 40s and how you can explore what God wants, what kingdom is, and how to navigate through the process. This might be a little bit brutal, but trust me, it will be worth it because, the first place of change is when there is awareness. And we're doing this with somebody who is walking the ropes as we speak. And that's my friend of over a decade plus now. And please put a round of applause for me and welcome the one and only.
Loud it.
Drum roll. Ibelema Green.
Thank you, loud it. Yes, thank you so much. I want to appreciate my fans, my well-wishes. Okay. So it's good to be back here, and this particular episode is quite personal because it's something that I'm doing real time.
Yeah,
I'm living this. I have stories for this to share. This is real time, real life experience for me in navigating that. It even reminds me that there was this thing that I did once, living limitless in your 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. I just remembered it now that I actually did a whole physical event on how to live limitless in your 30s. And it was based around this narrative of, being in your 30s at the time. Because right now I'm in my 40s. Yes, I know I look great. But living in your 30s and navigating relationships at the time. And the feedback was unsettling. Because it wasn't gender-based. It was the fact that different people had different experiences of the expectations that people had of them, as they were in their 30s. I particularly had one that was interesting to me. So when I put up the flyer and talked about, we'll be talking about how to navigate life in your 30s if you were not married yet and how to deal with the pressure that comes from society. Somebody said that I was an evening newspaper. Let me explain what that means.
Please do, because I'm lost right now.
So, and this was a she. She said that evening newspapers should not talk about relationships. Now, in those days where people used to go and read newspapers at this newspaper stand, the morning papers were the papers that everybody used to go and rush. The evening papers, nobody really was interested because they were tired. They didn't want to go and stand. They just wanted to go home. Okay. So nobody really read the evening paper. Okay. And if you're a columnist, if they gave you a slot in the evening, not the night, evening newspaper, chances are nobody's really interested in what you're doing. Because even in social media, there are times around maybe 5 to 7. You're not really posting anything around that time because everybody's either en route home and want to settle in. But if you post around 9, 10, the algorithm, they are relaxed now. They want to sleep, so they're checking their phones. But no, she said, I was an evening newspaper. I remember how I laughed. And somebody was livid in the comments because somebody had called her that, and it colored everything about her life. So the expectation from society is that, once you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you should be married by now. Your childbearing years, your, in quote, biological clock is ticking, and people just stop living because now their entire life is based on a clock that is not in line with the clock that God has for your life. And so they just stop.
Okay, do you now, when was your ideal clock for getting married?
So I'm pretty weird. So I didn't have the fairy tale timing that most girls had.
Okay.
Again, I had a fantastic background with my dad. It will boil down to parenting and all that. So I had a father who particularly said we shouldn't rush into marriage because it was a lifetime thing.
Okay.
So I already had that in my head. So I was not in a hurry. I was going to find my person, be with my person, and end up with the person, So I wasn't under any pressure like that. But now, at some point, regardless of how you have been taught and learned, society will put pressure on you. You have finished NYSC. You have go to law school. The next thing on the list is to marry. And I almost got into that foray.
Okay.
Where it was the next right thing to do. And then you get into that process and you realize that you don't even know anything about what you're about to enter. So that was it. I didn't have this is the time. It was just following the time that you have finished school, you have done NYSC. For those who are international audiences, NYSC is like your service time with your country. You've done that, and then you are getting into proper work in society. So the next right thing is get a car and then get married.
Okay, so to be clear, so now there's anything wrong with that process?
No, absolutely nothing.
The only thing is that process should get there prepared. You shouldn't get there unprepared, because many people are falling into the trap of getting there unprepared.
Yeah, because you're ticking some box.
Yeah, and eventually we know how those stories go.
Yeah.
So how can you get there prepared? We deal with that all the time on this podcast. Today, what I'm dealing with, now that you didn't get there prepared, or you're prepared and you're not married, how are you navigating this season, and what are the pros, are the cons, or would you rather have it this way?
I don't know if it's a question of would I rather have it this way. I also feel like a late realization of purpose will cause you to do certain things that will play out in the overall picture of your life.
Okay.
Purpose is very important.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important things, and it's not just for reason of the podcast, it's because of the life that I am living.
Okay.
A realization of purpose tends to put you in the spaces that you are supposed to be with the people you are supposed to be, who might likely be the people you are supposed to end up with.
Right.
So you might be in a space, but you have veered off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will come back because you don't skip classes.
Yeah.
You're going to come back.
Yeah.
But the time, we live in a time where it's chronological. So it's ticking for you. But it's fine with purpose. You will get there when you get there, and you will still be fine, and you will fulfill everything you have to fulfill. But according to our time clock here, it's almost like it's going. It's going. So I think for me, the realization of what I wanted to do started maybe around 31.
Okay.
Yeah. What I really needed, what I really wanted, who I was, and the work that I had to do on myself started around 31, 32. I don't really remember 20s because it was in a blow of just doing the next thing, and there was nothing intentional about that process. Yeah. So would it have been different if I realized? Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't. So I had to now go the route of getting to know that this frog that you are kissing is not the person.
It's not the prince.
Yes, it's not the prince.
Okay, so a lot of people would say things at this age that trust God timing, don't worry, God has a way of redeeming time. And I don't think they are wrong.
No.
But I think the work is going to be on the individual.
Yes, it is.
To be willing, because I think what will make your redemption of time happen is that you found your purpose and you're living your purpose. So you can now meet your person.
Yes.
In your purpose.
In your purpose.
And everything will just become beautiful in its time. But what happens is there's a societal pressure that tells people that at this age, just take anything you find.
Yeah, there is. I've had people come up to me so I don't look my age. And then when they ask the questions, I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
And then you see the switch. So when people think that I'm younger, there is a need to pursue. I need to get this because it's like everybody wants to get this. And then when you are honest and you now say the age, there's now you don't have a lot of choices anymore in the market. So I'm offering you the best choice. Like I've had people walk up to me and like, if you don't marry me, who will you marry? And I'm like, wow, nice. Really nice. And like, I will not marry if it's only you. There's this sense of take what I am offering you and stop putting all these ideal standards and measurements. Right now, just look for somebody that will treat you well and put you in the house and give you a respectable name. And a lot of people fall into that trap because they get into the sense of time is going. On the other hand, when you are involved in purpose, it's almost like, hey, let me put all my systems and structures in place.
Because there's no time.
Because there's no time. Like, I really don't even have the time to do all the things that I want to do. And you're so engrossed in that. And because you're engrossed in the thing that you are supposed to do, you become very animated. It keeps you younger, it keeps you fresher, your brain is alert. And what now happens that I'm finding out is that your pool of options opens up.
Okay.
So I think most of the time, in staying in the depression of the expectation of society and what they have benchmarked as a particular time for you, when you buy into that, you get into a mind space and a mind frame that makes you look miserable, feel miserable. You get stuck in the same circle, you're bitter, and eventually what happens is that nobody really wants to read the evening newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I navigate finding purpose and the thing that I'm supposed to do, getting a fantastic support system.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes you need to move away from the pressure. Because there is pressure.
Okay.
There is. Move away from the pressure from yourself. Because you will put yourself under pressure.
Okay.
And there are questions like, am I not fine enough, good enough, this enough, and all that. You need to move away from all that and get into the thing that you're supposed to do with your life and be fine.
Okay.
Where marriage is now not a definition for you, but instead it is one of the ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the way.
Okay.
It's one of the ways.
So, okay. So I get that, and that's clear. And I think everybody needs to be able to realize that in chasing purpose, you will get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think one of our previous episodes we had mentioned that you can be in purpose and make mistakes.
Yes.
So, having a great support system does that for you. But would you say with your own life and just general understanding now, what role? Because sometimes it feels like if you're just in purpose, everything just comes like a magnet.
No.
But you're also supposed to understand how relationship works.
Yes.
How to pick, whom to pick, what works for you, what are the kingdom standard. So a lot of people don't stay single this age. They just make a bad cake and eat it like that.
Yes.
And now it's purging them. A lot of people don't try to make the cake and it's not working. I'm like, okay, it's not working.
Not for me.
So they are single to this stage. But what role did you say you had proper relationship understanding, or did you undo relationships well at the beginning?
No.
Because sometimes it just looks like, and I know a lot of people want to make it look like it can be God saving you because you discovered purpose late.
Yeah.
But two things can be true at the same time. It can also be that you didn't know how to handle relationships.
Yes,
That's what is happening.
I didn't. I had no idea. First, I didn't even know how to handle me.
Okay.
And then you go ahead to pick the wrong person.
Okay.
And then you realize when you get in there that you're working on a pseudo form of information from a world that keeps shifting the goalpost on how relationships should be. They are all the fairy tales that are in your head.
Okay.
That's not real life.
Okay.
And then you're operating based on lack of information. And so you're handling things badly. You're not having proper conversations. You're entering emotions with relationship with pure emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting into rough spots. You don't even know what you want. So there is a place for proper understanding of, what do I want? And this is you in purpose, honestly.
Yeah,
this
honestly.
is you in purpose.
So you might be realizing this at 40 or 39 plus, but the call is to say, did I do something wrong? And what did I do? What do I need to learn from
reevaluate.
While I'm working in purpose?
Exactly. So this is you in purpose, asking the questions of what didn't work? What was a pattern? Because we always have patterns. Sometimes, even in purpose, I realize sometimes that I date the same person, just in different bodies.
Interesting.
Yeah, because something in you says this is familiar.
You've seen this before.
I've seen this before.
That means you've not learned the lesson.
So you have to now sit with yourself first and go, what is even making me pick the person I'm picking? Do I really want to get married?
That question is a valid question.
It's a very valid. I asked.
It's a very valid question.
It's so valid because.
Please remember that Jesus Christ is the one that said it, that marriage is not for everyone.
I asked. I had to ask because you are operating under a cultural perception that at this age you should be married. There are people who will not be married.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And it's totally fine. So it's the ability to ask the question, why do I want to be married? So rather than get into this space where, you go for a wedding and you're the only one without a +1, or people are walking up to you at weddings, and these are real life things, and they're going, your life is complete, but it will be more complete if there's somebody by your side.
Our society is terrible.
You're such an amazing person. God is seeing all the work you're doing. We grant you your heart's desire. And maybe your heart's desire, honestly, is that you just want £20,000.
And not a man or a woman.
Or a woman. And then they bring it to your consciousness that if you just get man, this thing will just stop. Or if you have a woman at your side, this will stop. So it's asking the question, why do I want to get married? Do I want to get married? So I remember one of the times during the pressure, I don't even know why I put myself on that, because I realized the pressure was not from outside at this point.
It was from
It was from me. There was just I'm supposed to be married now. Honestly, I can't think about for the life of me where that came out from. But I know that at that point, it was almost like I was trying to be extra nice. I was trying to be in spaces I was not. And one day, somebody was like, you will not understand, you're not married. And I remember going home that day and I cried. And then God asked, the question came to me, why are you not married? And it was the collection of voices of people asking me the question, you are a fine girl, you are doing things, you're working for God, you're in his vineyard. Why are you not married? Are they not seeing? Are they blind? And the question came as part of the crying and depression. But then again, there was the answer the question for yourself. And so I stopped. I remember how in the whole heaving, I stopped and asked, but wait, Yusuf, why are you not married? And I remember answering the question for myself. And that answer made it easy for me. Where I realized it was a light bulb moment when I was like, wait, you don't want to get married now. I'm like, no. How can I every year be putting prayer requests? This is the year I get married. And you are realizing that, no, you don't want to. And like, so what do you want to do? Like, your life is not together yet. The things you want to put in place first. And for me, it was, hey. So I remember bringing out a book and I'm like, what exactly do you want to do? If you get married, what type of person would you be? So I realized that I'm the type of person that once I'm in a relationship, I close out. Like, the world is blind. You people can sort out yourself and your problems. I have him to sort out. He becomes my entire...
It becomes your worship.
Exactly.
And God will always destroy anything that is not him as the center of his universe.
It becomes my entire focus. He is the go-to. He's not the person that compliments now. No, he is the person. I'm like, why are you so fixated like that? And so that was also a re-evaluation, recalibrate, calm down. Is there something missing in you that is making you want to make this person everything? Yeah. And is that supposed to be the thing? And you think that answering those questions, those really introspective questions, or the questions that people ask you to make you feel bad. And then I also learned to also vocally answer people. When are we coming to eat your rice? Because most of the time, people ask these questions with good intention.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's also, there's an undergird of malice and you can feel it most of the time. So if you come up to me and like, when are we going to eat your rice? When you cook it. And like, are we eating rice now? Because I'm like, I would like pasta this time. Play with it. Don't make it the focus of everything. We are going to dance at your wedding. I'm like, we'll be dancing in church till the wedding. We can even be dancing right now. Or, are they blind? I'm like, help me ask them. Help me. Can't they see this beauty? And once people start to sense that there is a confidence and you're going to answer, they stop trying to do the pressure thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. They're
not prepared for such responses because people are always bitter at this stage.
Yes.
They sound unbearable.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're needing help.
And I think also it's an indicator of the fact that we don't trust God enough to do it now.
It looks like time is past.
Yeah, that's past. So now we have to do things by ourselves. But it's also, how David would do the recollection.
Yeah.
I have killed the lion, I've killed the bear, and so Goliath is not a thing. One of the things practically I also did was I went for every stage I got to from 30, I went to find people who were doing things in that space, who were not married, whose stories were similar. Minus the fact that I had a fantastic community who were not putting me under pressure and all that. I also had to go and look for people like me.
Okay.
And it was also where I got to, I remember I think it was when I was approaching 40. I started to research about, it's 40, they're saying things about biological clock, because most of these things are really valid concerns.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to have children and all that? So I'm like, okay, what are the options? Would I want to freeze my eggs? So I had to start to gather
Think about all those
information
things,
and
yeah.
think about all these things. If I get married in my 50s, am I okay with not having children? The traditional things, because now you have to expand that thing. And then I think it was around the time I saw a podcast like this one about Cindy Trim, and she got married when she was 60. And somebody was asking her the question that when she got to 40 and 50, what did her mindset change? She was like, oh, she got to the place where she was going, yeah, she believes God that she might still have children. Whether she has or not, she doesn't want, but she has moved on to adopting cities. And my head, I went, Orimio, this person has moved, because now she had a tribe of people she had been impacting. And now you can say that she has children, but she had moved on in purpose to start adopting cities where she was doing great work. She married at 60 to somebody who had been married before and had kids. And she didn't want to have kids anymore. And she was already set in her life. And the conversation they were
You know, the
having,
funny thing is that our world think with them that are settling down because the person had kids, you're settling.
not at all.
So the worst definition is just completely upside down the kingdom.
It's completely contradictory to our.
Like if you marry someone that's been married before, you are settling.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it could just be that. Because her proposal was amazing. Because this is a woman who already has everything that she wants. She has stuff.
So
she has this.
who gives us this standard?
I don't know.
If you can answer that question,
you'll
then
be
you
fine.
then you can do what it is you are still doing.
Yes. If you can answer the question, because if you say it's the world will keep moving the goalpost. Today is this, tomorrow is this. By the time you get there, they've shifted it again. You don't get to the point where it's not giving what it's supposed to give. And then you're tired. So you cannot draw your definitions, especially in your 40s, from the expectations of the world. You have to allow your opinions stand on their own 2 feet and lean on the cross.
So how do you do that practically? How do you stay there and you have your heart still open? So now we've cleared a few things that, even at this stage, the first thing you need to be able to identify is your purpose.
Yeah.
We've cleared also that as you are working in your purpose, there's a tendency that you didn't know, you didn't learn,
so
you didn't apply
learn
some things about relationship that resulted to this.
I have to be open to learning.
Yeah, let's not shy from that.
Yes.
You are now applying that. Then you also are aware that the world standard is just not our standard. So how you get married is not, whom you get married to is not it's not fixed. That it has to be somebody that's not very married before. There's not like all of that.
There's not, because you can be 23 and marry somebody that's
really like, you remember that Boaz married Ruth.
Oh,
you know, right? Ruth has been married before, born, children die. Children died. Let me just say it in English properly. But we're still in Nigeria. However, when all of this is going on, how do you now still remain open-hearted like Ruth would have done?
So there's something you told me. So if you have not watched the episode about how we became friends, you should watch it. But there was something you told me one time when we were, I think it was around the time we just started to become friends. And I was complaining about the particular relationship that I was in. And you said, Ibelema, you're an ocean person and you keep waiting for river people to give you something that they can't
Valley
give.
people. I remember that. I forgot to remember now.
Yeah. And I realized that I am an ocean person. And I have a childlike optimism when it comes to intangibles like love, hope, trust. And one experience does not color the other for me. So that I loved once and lost doesn't make love a limited resource. It is infinite. And so my heart is open like that to not carry the experience of one place
to put it in
another.
So how are you
totally
doing that?
different.
Because for some people, just trying again is just difficult. I know we've talked about some of those things you can relay and redo with community and tribes in your former episode, but for you practically, now that you are leaving this stage, how are you living open-hearted?
remembering every day, renewing my mindset, being honest about where I am at every point, being honest also about the needs that I have and not trying to sugarcoat or cover them. Understanding that, I think for me also is understanding that God's love for me is constantly expanding and changing. And if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, I am constantly expanding and changing and making room and making space. I am God, literally here, So how would he operate here? That's how I operate. That's one of the most practical things for me. Also, it's answering questions as they come. Somebody says something, a question as relating to relationship comes. I don't shy away from the questions. I answer the question for me first, not for them, me. Because Jesus answered questions. Again, following the model. Questions were asked about Jesus that were weird. Maybe it was not a relationship, but there were just some questions that society expected by this type of person should have done this. Yeah, so when the questions come, I ask myself the question because those questions are also a form of re-evaluation and evaluation for me. What has changed? What is changing? Is this the truth I still hold? Do I still want to get married? Do I still want to have children? And the answer is yes, of course. Let's just put it out there before you can say the girl does not want to marry. I want to marry things. Yes. Do I want to have children? Next episode.
I think you need to be comfortable with having honest discussions.
Honest conversations.
And it's better that you don't answer them from your head.
Yeah.
You allow God and your purpose.
So I journal also a lot. I journal a lot. And I think I was saying it to you at the beginning of, before the podcast started to record, that there was the question, somebody said, get a word from God that anchors you.
Yeah.
I have one that anchors me. It's a very weird scripture, but I have a word that anchors me, and it takes time to get it. But it has formed like a defense and a shield for me in times where all these other things don't happen. I have a promise that I'm going to get married. I do. It's personal to me. I understand it the way it was said to me. So it doesn't matter what's happening. I have a sure word of promise. Yeah, from that. Then I think lastly, I am so invested in the things that I'm doing. I'm having so much fun learning myself at every stage that it has become an adventure to see.
For you?
Yeah. So I'm not stuck in a narrative. It's who do I get to be at 41? Who do I get to be at 32? Who do I get to be at 50? Who am I looking forward to be at? Because now I'm in a stage where I'm redesigning my life to understand experiences, get experiences, create experiences for people, come to terms with things that were trauma or dysfunctions. So it's almost like there's a new version unraveling per season, and I'm just excited about the person that I am, and that excitement is palpable. People can sense it.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question.
Yes.
Because at this stage now, you mentioned support system, but support systems keep changing because you probably have had friends who were single, they now got married. How are you dealing with those transition? But support system now more in how are you dealing with it? Where do you get emotional support from? What community do you lean on for emotional support? Seeing that maybe some of the people you were leaning on before,
they have
I probably switched those spaces because just like it would affect a teenager, it will still affect an adult. Yes. You're going to have sexual needs. Yes. You're going to have just share comfort, somebody to speak to. And sometimes, again, unfortunately, because of the bitterness that this season might hold, somebody might close up to every other thing. And it makes you unaccessible. Unfortunately, I know of many such stories that because of, so if you are listening to me now, maybe this is just for you. Because you've closed up, you are no more accessible, you are now bitter, you can't navigate. What happens is that the devil sets a trap with somebody that looks nice.
Yeah.
So one person just comes to be understanding, to be nice,
And all the things that you
lose
want,
all your
boundaries.
values and boundaries. So it's like you are a volcano waiting to erupt. The moment, sometimes they don't even, I hear some people who have just been in this stage for a long time, then you hear suddenly that they had sex in a bathroom. I'm wondering, I don't understand. How did the person not even bring you to their house? How did they not even do all the things? Even if you were going to fall, how do you not even have all these bliss to fall in? How is it just one touch from one person? No sin is permittable, but some sin are just very ugly to hear because
nice.
You're not supposed to do. But the thing is, you've closed up for so long. I was sharing a story one time where somebody's in their 40s now. They've had a child who is 18 years, and they find somebody who want to get married to them. And now they're doing all the marital process. But I get to now find out that because they want to get married in a church, and the rules of that church says you can't live with the person you are going to get married to. And of course, they have to get a bigger apartment for marriage. So they get a bigger apartment for the marriage. But what happens is that because the lady has an 18 years old child who, I think she gets 16. She's not yet in university, so I don't think she's 18 yet, who lives with her in her one room and all of that. She leaves the one room, and they have a bigger apartment. They're going to get married in a few months, but she comes early morning or early night to have sex and go back to her apartment. And this is in no way judging the person. I'm just saying that the temptation for every stage is different. And I think for this stage of life, the temptation is you can compromise something just to be able to attain something that God has promised you. So it might seem like this Gordon is slow. If it's just to sleep with him, Shebi has agreed to marry me, let me just sleep with him. So it seems enough compromise to make just to be able to get there. Or it can seem to be, this all Gordon is slow. It's not too bad, it just beats me. Let me just enter the man's house. At least I've seen one person. So you can be tempted to compromise because you do not have proper emotional support as backing, which leads me back to Ruth. Ruth had Naomi, who was playing an emotional support for the person. So not just am I saying that you should get an emotional support. You need people to hug you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, so when you asked, how do I get emotional support? There's also the tendency to now, instead of having support systems, you have crutches.
Okay.
Where you make your purpose a crutch. Okay. Where's the thing that you lean on? And that you have to really understand how to balance that. So I work with teenagers a lot and young people. There was a tendency to make that my entire existence, and then push to the background that I am a human being with blood flowing in her veins. I want to be kissed, I want to be touched, I want to be hugged, and all that. So you have to be honest with yourself that you need these things. You want these things. And you are at the age where you can get it. But you also have to not put yourself on discount.
Okay.
To the highest bidder.
Okay.
And sometimes the highest bidder is the person that asks you to marry.
Like the dangle marriage as...
Yes, dangle marriage as the carrot. Your boundaries, your values, your principles have to be set in stone. You know them. You have a relationship with them. You are interacting with your principles on a daily basis, especially now, because it's important. Yeah. And then honest conversations, healthy relationships, don't stay in isolation. So the tendency is that, so you are married now. Of course, our relationship, the dynamics have changed. We had a conversation with the dynamics changing. And then you also expand and open your world to new people. Go out, travel, go for weddings, meet people, build new relationships, because you are also growing and evolving. So build those connections also, because really the world is such a big place and all that. And then have the people where you can always run.
Run to.
Always. Always like, my head is touching. I really, really want to have sex right now. And I think one of the things in the kingdom is our inability to voice how we feel, because somehow we've been conditioned to think
it's wrong.
that these things are wrong. No, they are not. So yeah, you talk to God.
Jesus also said he's tired. He doesn't want to carry.
He don't want to
then
do
find strength in the Father. The fact that we play superhero is
and
unnecessary.
you realize that when Jesus was going through that, he removed 3 people that
can help,
even if they sleep.
At least they were there.
Do you hear? No, so yeah, have those people, have the honest conversations, find communities that the same spirit, same like minds. If you can't find them, curate them.
I don't know if this is true, but I just also think that many times people find or create this community for people who are 30, 40 plus, and that's the only community they stay in.
Yeah. And it's not.
That can be healthy.
That is not healthy. It's not that can. It's not healthy because you're now cut off from every other reality because you're trying to find a pool. Again, it comes with the conditioning that there's a certain type of person you have to marry. You can't marry younger. You can't marry older. You can't marry somebody that's married. You rest.
Don't define it for God.
Yeah, because what if you are 40 and the person you are supposed to marry is 27?
Don't define it for God.
You can't do that. Don't define it. Be open enough to the, but it's how I hear people say, if it's not somebody from River State, I will not marry. Already, you have set up yourself for a fall. Yes, I understand the power of definitive focus. There is that, but it's not in the space where you block out everything else and limit your own self. And then another thing is, the waiting period for people is almost like you're waiting and doing absolutely nothing and waiting on God to send me my spouse. Waiters wait. When you go to a restaurant, wait a proper one. That they have trained the people and they have sense, which is a place where we are talking about you have gotten training, you're in the relationship classes, you're doing all that. In the waiting season, you are waiting with expectancy. You are doing stuff. You're anticipating your creator's deeds. You're in a dance that is everlasting. You are there. You are excited about what's coming next. You are daydreaming with God. I feel like there are a lot of things that we don't even put into consideration that waiting does for you. So it means that I can clarify the vision of what I want in my family. Who gets her father's eyes? What kind of child do I want? What children do I raise? All the things that people.
This might be a blessing that you don't know about. You get to do things that a lot of people didn't get to do.
Create a picture and collect a blueprint from God, because you think that the time is running, but you're redeeming time, because once you get into it, you just
it's like
know
a
what
speed
you are
of
doing.
Light. Exactly.
You are not figuring this thing out anymore. So even with your married friends, stay with them, watch them, learn what you need to learn. What's the dynamics? Don't resent it. Go and learn the dynamics.
Avoid it.
Learn the dynamics. They become new parents. See what they are doing. Keep learning.
I like to say visit. Help.
Standing.
Do something.
Seeds.
Don't go. You have children now. You're not talking to me anymore.
What is that?
Don't. See.
Be very present.
See.
Like when they are pregnant, follow them to the hospital. Hold their hand.
I think the one thing I would even like everyone in this thing to get is that God will test your heart.
Yeah.
And your heart will be like the ultimate qualifier.
Yeah.
I haven't put all these other things in place that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
Your heart will be tested. Your heart will be tested. Your heart will be tested. I mean, For Ruth, she could take something to Boaz, lie on his feet, and listen to his instruction, and be fine. She was not trying to manipulate the situation.
No, she was just fine.
She was not trying to manipulate it. So God would test your heart. So you're not helping a friend or somebody who maybe someone who has kids and you say, I'm helping you now. God, as I'm helping them now, let this be the reason why you're going to give my own spouse. It's like you're trying to use God as a means to an end for something. God is the end.
And you already have the end.
And you already have the end.
You already have the end.
So to not be willing to manipulate the season and the time, sometimes you might be the one who have made it this long for you. It should be okay to say, I did this.
Oh, yeah.
But I can do the work.
Because I realized that there were certain people that I met that could very well have been the person that I married, but my immaturity at the stage and my handling of the situation, the person went. And I had to be fine with the fact that you be foolish girl. That would have been you married right now.
Yeah.
So what are you learning from this? And also realizing that there's not this concept of this one person in the world for you.
No.
Rest.
There's creation.
There's
and the creator
lot.
keeps creating. In fact, he has finished the work. So when I say keeps creating, it's not like he's doing a new work. Your part is not new to him.
You're just discovering the creation as you go.
Your part is not new to him. In fact, in the print of your parts, there was the option that you would have missed it and delayed, or there was the option of what will happen when you were 40 plus.
Yeah.
It's there. It's not, it didn't just appear like, you did not marry, you're not 40. What will you do for this person now?
No, it's there.
That option was already there, and there was already a provision for it. So the earlier this becomes you just plugging in, the better. And I'm not even saying that maybe the earlier will be you married this year or next year. I just know that your heart state will be the one to determine your time. Your heart state will determine your time.
I think the last thing that I would really like to add is a scripture that I really like. It's in Psalms 18, Message translation. It says, God rewrote the text of my life when I opened the book of my heart to his eyes. You need to open that book to his eyes, allow him scrutinize, tell you what to do, give you the blueprint, because he's constantly writing your story. Whether you are 22, you are 25, you are 31, you're 40, or you're even 50 or 60, there's always a love story that God is writing, and it hasn't ended yet. Now
you can't spoil it.
Yeah, you can't. Don't worry, you can't spoil it.
The only thing you can do is not to leave it.
But you can't spoil
those stories are already written. Pick up yourself, leave the version.
Yeah, and just move on.
Just leave the version.
Yeah.
Just leave the version. Just leave the version. I hope this encouraged you. You have questions, more things to share. You can always reach Ibelema. You can always talk in the comment section. We are here to help you build this reality of relationship according to what Kingdom have said.
Yeah.
Because I know from experience, I also know in my identity that if you follow God's blueprints, you would get God's results hands down every single time. Every single time. So your age is not the factor. Your willingness to walk in the scripts that God has written for you is actually the deciding factor. This is Love with Ini. I hope you've enjoyed this time. We'll see you again on the next episode. For now, bye-bye. Have a great week.
See ya.